You're listening to Alcoholics Alive, where recovered members of Alcoholics Anonymous share their experience on how they live AA as a way of life. None of our participants get paid or speak for AA. Here are your hosts, Shank and Wayne. Welcome to Alcoholics Alive. You know, Shank, we've never really talked about it, but this just popped in my mind. I've gotten a little slack about our name, Alcoholics Alive.
Yeah.
Not slack, but people wondering what is that? And it's a good question. I'm not going to go into all the history behind the sacred name, but we're alcoholics that have recovered from alcoholism as a result of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're free and alive, and we're not hiding out. We're living our lives, and we're trying to help other people. So that's short answer of what Alcoholics Alive means.
There's a lot of lore there too.
A lot of lore, yeah. Maybe we'll cover that later. But my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is July the 2nd, 1989, and I have a home group. My home group is a group called There Is a Solution. We meet in Cary, North Carolina on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Methodist Church. Come check us out. I'm a guy that struggled getting sober on my own, trying things like church, psychiatry, shaving my head, exercise, diet, reading books.
Pocket New Testament.
Like walking around with that New Testament and preaching to people. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. Didn't know anything about Alcoholics Anonymous or really alcoholism. It just seemed like I was weak-willed and was kind of hopeless. And one day I just I asked for help. I said a prayer, asked God to help me, and told a family member that I needed help. And I ended up in a detox that day, and was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous not long after that. But a guy came in and made a 12-step call on me when I was in that detox, and he was the first person that I'd ever heard that I could relate to. I kind of understood what he was saying, and he was a member of AA, and he gave me some hope that I finally realized maybe what was wrong with me. And, you know, not long after that was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous and came into AA and took the steps, and my life started to change. I was a guy that took the steps pretty quickly, was introduced to the idea of home group sponsorship and staying involved and helping other people. And those things have served me well throughout the years. So I'm a guy that's been active ever since I got here. I've not taken any breaks from being a member of AA, and it has served me well. So that's kind of my story. Now, our Shank, bad drinker.
My name is Susie. I'm an alcoholic, and my home group is also There's a Solution in Cary, North Carolina. My sobriety date is October 23rd, 2012, and I am someone who drank for about 5 years, and I didn't ever try to get sober. I didn't ever try to control my drinking. The controlling that I did was I wanted days off of work so I could drink all day and pass out and wake up and do it again. And I'm also someone who, I know that there were like some good times while I was drinking, but they were few and far between with how insanely drunk I always was. So when I arrived to AA, it was through a treatment center because I'd committed some crimes, gotten in a car wreck, harmed some people, and I had never heard of Alcoholics Anonymous until I arrived in Alcoholics Anonymous in a treatment center. And looking back on that, it sounds kind of crazy. After I got sober a while, I had a few family members that had gotten sober, tried to get sober in AA. And my dad had been to Al-Anon when he was a teenager. So there were just like several, I guess people didn't talk about it. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I also have not taken a break from AA since I've gotten here. I mean, I guess that just depends on who you ask. I did stay sober while I was incarcerated. I worked all 12 steps while I was incarcerated. Some people don't count your time when you're incarcerated. So,
Well, we do.
so, you know, maybe I was taking a break. I don't know. They don't have any drugs or alcohol in the pen, from what I've heard from some people. Anyway, and I certainly don't know everything about Alcoholics Anonymous, all of the history. I'm still learning as we go along, but what I do know is that there was a period of time that I thought it was very important to tell you everything I'm doing in AA, every committee I'm on, how important I am, look at all these volunteer badges I have, et cetera, et cetera. And what I know today is like I just go out and try to help people. So, and I still do all of those other things, and they're fun, but primarily I'm showing up just trying to help other alcoholics. So there you
Yep.
go.
Yeah, and if you're out there listening and you're new or don't know us, you should. I guess it would be important to know that we are currently active members of AA. Some of us, I mean, both of us are on some other committees. Some of us are involved in area structure and business, and we both are sponsored, and we both sponsor other people. So we're not we're not part-time AA members, and we stay in touch with what's going on with all aspects of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, even with all that being said, the most important thing that we do is we try to help other people, and it's really one of the purposes of the podcast when we started it was to just have guests on that have a simple message of how the steps have transformed them and helped them to not only stay sober but live different lives. And we believe that message is simple, and in some aspects it's easy to. You can't say that nowadays, it doesn't seem like, but in some aspects, once you build a foundation, it's easy to stay sober if you trust in God and try to continue to clean your own house and help other people. So that's why we started the podcast. So Shank, what is our topic today?
Our topic today is the 12 steps versus the plain language explanation. Asterisk, the plain language explanation is not intended to replace the 12 steps.
Oh, okay. That's what it
Is our
says in the
topic
book, right?
today. Correct.
All right.
So I wanted it to call the steps versus the steps, but upon my research, the plain language explanation is not intended to replace the 12 steps. So these are the plain language explanation of the 12 steps. So I would like for you to read the actual step, and then I'll read the plain language explanation, and I'll see what your thoughts are here.
Okay. So if you're listening, we're reading from a brand new book called Plain Language Big Book, a tool for reading Alcoholics Anonymous. And we're on page 152. So this is a chart in the back of the book that I think was, if you just read through conference minutes and talk to some of the folks that were at the conference that approved it, the table in the back and the explanation of the steps was somewhat controversial.
Here's our opener.
Yep.
1, AA's 12 steps. Here's a side-by-side chart showing the 12 steps next to a plain language explanation. The plain language explanation is not intended to rewrite or replace the 12 steps. It is here to help more readers understand and embrace the steps.
So now we've got to understand and embrace the steps.
Peace and love.
Do we have to do that before we take them, or is that the result?
Understand and embrace.
Embrace. All right. Well, here is so step 1 is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable.
In the first step, we admit to ourselves that we are powerless over our drinking. We also accept that our lives have fallen apart and that we cannot manage them. Understanding these things first makes it possible for us to continue with the other steps.
Okay. Well, so we've got to
When when I
understand these
arrived
things
here,
first. Yeah.
when I got to AA, my life had fallen apart. I was losing my freedom. I was losing my rights. I had never been in trouble before. However, I have helped a lot of people that their outside lives have not fallen apart. And I think
Correct.
that coming into AA, a lot of people believe that you have to be going to prison or live under a bridge. And then you get here and it's like, well, it's not about the outside circumstances. So I think to say that we accept that our lives have fallen apart, I mean, I think that kind of like would keep people out versus get people in.
I would completely agree. Yeah. And I've actually, I mean, to your point, I've sponsored lots of people that, like, materially and just outwardly, that, I mean, there was nothing wrong with them. Their lives hadn't fallen apart. It was more of an internal spiritual dilemma that they had.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is weird that our lives has your life fallen apart, Shank?
But the step doesn't say that. It just, we admitted we were
Right.
powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. So I don't think being powerless over alcohol or my life being unmanageable means that my life has fallen apart.
Nope. Yep. I would completely agree.
And then
And
I could compare that
under
to people that had longer sentences than me in prison and say, well, my
hmm
life really hasn't fallen apart compared to theirs. Like, I'm only going to be here for, 1 to 10 years or whatever. They're going to be
yeah.
here for their life. So,
And it says you have to understand these things before moving forward.
I can't tell you that I understand it now. In fact,
No.
the longer I
That
stay sober, the less I understand, but the more I know that it works.
that's exactly right. That's right. Yeah. So I would say the first plain language explanation for step one is it needs some work.
It needs some work. How is the plain language explanation like twice as long as the actual step?
Right. It's I don't know. It's supposed to be simpler and more plain, but it's really not. I mean, how do you? I mean, the steps as written are just they're perfect,
Yeah.
and there's nothing hard about understanding any of them for anyone.
Well,
I mean,
I'm I'm scrapping the plain language explanation of that one.
I'm with you. It's out of here. All right. Step two: came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Then we start to believe that a higher power can help us stop drinking and guide us to a clearer state of mind.
Oh my goodness! A clearer state of mind.
Hmm.
So, is that the plain language explanation for sanity? A clearer state of mind.
Came to believe
I,
is start to believe. I mean, that may not be the worst thing, but
hmm
what is so hard to understand about came to versus start to?
Yeah. Yeah. Start to believe that a higher power can help us stop drinking. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I'm gonna have to ponder that one a little bit.
I don't think that a clearer state of mind is the worst rewrite for
It's not.
sanity. However, when I heard that I could be restored to sanity, like I can't really remember. Maybe I thought I was just crazy, like crazy, like ex-boyfriends had called me
Sure.
crazy type of deal. And I was told that's not really what we're talking about here. But just the power that that had to be restored to sanity, I
Mhm.
mean, that meant something. It was like, oh, that's probably why these people are laughing and having a good time and just drinking some coffee. Like,
There's definitely more power with that.
it's just,
Yeah. Yeah, and the sanity that we're being restored to really is the obsession to drink is being lifted, is being removed. And it seems like we lose a little bit of that in the explanation. So I think I'm going to scrap
Scrap.
that explanation. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him.
In the next step, we make a decision to trust God as we understand God to guide us with all our future decisions. We turn our lives over to God's care.
I,
One thing is it says made a decision, and in the explanation it says we make a decision.
yeah.
So like why change the tense? Like I don't because it's
Well,
just an explanation.
it's,
I don't know.
they felt like they had to do that for some reason.
And God, as we
God,
understand God, I was in this Zoom meeting, I don't know, a while back, and they read the steps and they put them up on the screen. They shared the screen, and everything was God as we understand God and God.
yeah.
And it was so bizarre to me. Like, I just wasn't expecting it. Um,
Yeah, I've never liked that terminology. You started seeing a lot in different things. God as we understand God. And then I don't know. Future decisions. Guide us with all our future decisions. It almost seems like it's too lofty and too specific to
mhm.
actually move forward. I mean, how do you we turn our lives over to God's care? Well, now this is one where if you were atheist or agnostic
Yep.
and you were really hoping for a softer version of God, you didn't get it with this book,
This ain't it.
which is probably one of the positives about it. But
Well, like I was not atheist or agnostic when I got here. I was not a participating member of the faith I grew up in, but I liked that AA wasn't religious and that yeah, there God was in a couple of the steps, but it also said as we understand him or like I liked that because it seemed approachable even for someone that had a history of religion.
yeah, yeah. At least it doesn't say to trust HP as we understand HP. I'm surprised it didn't do that. Get a little NA flavor into it, which actually it has some of that in some of the other ones. But
Mm-hmm.
and how do you know what God's care is when you first take the steps? I don't know. I love the original version's perfect.
Yeah, I'm scrapping.
Inside of here. Step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Next, we work on thinking long and hard about our past and being very honest with ourselves about every aspect. Then we write everything down like a business owner taking an inventory.
What what is it with this thinking long and hard?
I like to think long and hard. That is a straight chat GBT translation if I've ever heard
There
one.
is no doubt. Thinking long and hard about our past. Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I was thinking long and hard when I was writing this out, and I remember being told, like, hey, just write it down. Like, stop coming up with new things, just write it down. Like, I don't need your whole life story from when you were born to the
Right.
first time your mom let you cry too long to
Hmm.
the, like personally, I did not need to think anymore.
No. Yeah. I mean, work long. Well, think long and hard about your past. Be
And is
very
it
honest.
a
Huh?
moral inventory of ourselves? Does that translate? Is the explanation of that being very honest with ourselves about every aspect?
Evidently. Yeah. Yeah. Here's
I mean,
another one. Go, go ahead.
well, I mean, I thought that we took honest out of, like,
Correct. We did.
so why are we putting it back in now? Like I thought that was something that people liked is like you can't just tell someone to be honest right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, they took honest out of the honest desire to stop drinking. I guess in how it works in the book, the original book, the term honest is in there a lot, but still it's here's the other thing. So it says then we write everything down like a business owner taking an inventory. So if you think about why they wrote the PLBB, it was for remote communities and right, people that don't have access. Do they know what a business owner taking an inventory means? Do you think they've ever actually taken an inventory like a business?
Well,
No.
personally, what it means for me is hitting print.
Right.
I don't have to think long and hard. I don't have to be very honest with myself about every aspect. I go in,
Yeah.
click a few reports, and hit print.
Right.
In fact, it's like I don't really have to think about it at all. It's all facts. It's all
Yeah.
a
And it's
fact
twice.
finding and a fact facing.
Yep. And the explanation is 3 times as long as the step.
Scrapped.
Yep. I'm scrapping it. It's out of here. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs.
In step 5, we take responsibility for everything we have done wrong. We do this with ourselves and also with our higher power. Then we meet with someone we trust and share the inventory we have made.
So the first thing that jumped out at me on this one is there's a lot, but it's almost like you're doing two confessions.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing a fifth step with yourself and with God, and then you're going to do another one with someone that you trust. Now I know that's a stretch, but that's kind of how it sounds to me, and it just seems like they're separating them, unless it's implying that the fourth step was the you and God, and now
Well,
you're sharing it with
I
somebody.
don't think it is because this is in step 5. I just think it's interesting that the exact nature of our wrongs is explained as everything we have done wrong.
Yeah, that's
I could not begin to tell you everything I have done wrong in the last 24
correct.
hours.
Right. Yeah, it's a take responsibility for everything we've done wrong. And now they've taken the word, they've switched from God to higher power.
Hmm.
So
Why?
dumb. It's so dumb. Give your HP a hand.
For the chips you hold.
That's right.
Well, and
Yeah.
also and of course, all of this is from personal experience, but I cannot tell you that the person I was doing a fifth step with, um, that I really trusted them. I mean, I
No.
did a fifth step with many people, and for this book to be for um, incarcerated individuals,
Yep.
I didn't have the luxury to make sure in a timely manner that I trusted all of these people. It was like, hey, I want to stay sober. I want to help other people. I want to work these steps to the best of my ability and I want to be free. I can do that while I'm incarcerated. And so, hey, you over there, bunkmate over here, it was kind of piecemeal doing parts of
Mm-hmm.
my fifth step with different people. And I
Yep.
was told to get over myself and do it if I wanted to live happily and
Yep.
free.
Yep. And the original Big Book tells you that you can do that.
Well,
You can give your fifth step to multiple people. Yep. And you know what? My very first fifth step, we don't do this much anymore in AA, but I I did it with another AA member that I did not know,
yeah.
and I was paired up with him because he had a similar experience and background to me. I was young, and he got sober young, and
So you
so I didn't.
listened to some people who have more sobriety than you and
That's r-
just took their
that's right.
suggestion and did
Took
what they
their
told you to
suggestion.
do. Wow. Did you
Yep.
trust those people?
I don't think I did.
I don't know. It's like hard to say. It's hard to say.
I think I trusted them. I don't know that I could say that I trusted that guy. I mean, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
But guess what? Still sober. So this is a kind of a deviation from what the step is, I think. But
I yeah, I mean, I guess it can sound like in a way in the original 12th fifth step, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. I guess some people could take that as doing it three times. Um,
yeah. After I said it, and then I started thinking about you doing yours with multiple people, I'm like, well, I guess you can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I
I
mean,
don't know. I was kind of admitting it to God and to myself as I was admitting it to another human being. I mean, I was praying every day and every night, but
yeah, yeah. Well, when I listen to a fifth step, I mean, we pray
mhm.
and invite God into the discussion. So when that person's doing their fifth step, it's with all three of us. So, but take responsibility for everything you've done wrong, Shank, and you'll be all right.
So we've gone from God to HP.
Yep.
There you go.
I think I'm going to
Scrap.
scrap step 5.
Scrap.
Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Then we open ourselves completely to the idea that our higher power can help us get rid of our negative traits.
Oh my goodness. Can you get rid of those negative traits, HP?
HP.
We open ourselves completely.
Entirely ready is open ourselves completely to the idea.
Okay.
I mean, what's wrong with entirely ready?
Yep. Who would not know what that means?
And then we go from God to higher power again. So
Yeah.
I don't understand how that is like an explanation. How if the step says God and then you change it in the explanation to higher power, like what is the purpose in that?
Yep. Don't know.
Just so that your chart is filled out, so that it looks like you did something. So, like, personally, that is way more confusing.
Yep. I agree. But that's probably your negative traits messing with you, Shank.
I
Yep.
mean, I just think if I gave just this chart to a family member that is, that lives in the mountains who self-proclaimed redneck, like, I just don't know that changing God to higher power would make much sense to her.
Probably not.
Because out there in
And
the East Tennessee mountains, I mean, there's 20 churches on a mountain that has 300 people.
right. I guess open yourself completely isn't yeah, entirely ready. I don't know. It's negative traits. So I guess defects of character aren't isn't good enough.
Well, what is a defect of character?
It's a good question. What's a
Is
negative
it
trait?
is it always something negative? Like I have some defects of character that can be used for good along the
If
proper
the
use of
proper
the
use
will.
of the will. That's right. If you're properly using them
So
with yeah.
now I can't say that I always do that, but
Yeah, this would have been better if you were going to explain it, just say, "Are you willing to change?" Yeah, would have been easier. I think I'm going to scrap this one.
scrapped.
Step 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings.
In this step, we connect with our higher power and humbly ask for help getting rid of our negative traits.
Negative traits are back in there, huh?
So
So,
shortcomings are now negative traits. Are your shortcomings always negative traits?
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. I'm the other thing is I just don't know that the term negative traits isn't any simpler or easier to understand than the term shortcoming or defective character. Negative traits. I have to take that in prayer and meditation.
Well, and as someone who had to refer to the book Alcoholics Anonymous many times throughout this whole process, I did not have the privilege through my own actions of being able to go to a meeting every day or being able to call sponsor whenever I wanted to. And there's a chart, there's an explanation in the 4-step in the book Alcoholics Anonymous of what you're supposed to be writing down. And so whether or not I understood any of this, like what an inventory is, what a defective character, what a shortcoming, I mean, I don't remember thinking too long and hard about it. I just remember reading what was in the book and being like, okay, well, he's mad at his wife because of this, and he's mad. Like, I
Right.
get that.
Yep.
That's simple enough.
I would agree. Humbly ask for help getting rid of our negative traits. Okay, well,
Once again, it's like humbly asked, and then the explanation is humbly ask. Listen, it's so minor, but it just like it scratches a place in my brain that I'm just like, I don't
yes,
like that. Why? It's scrapped.
it's out of here. Step 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
After that, we write down a list of everyone we have hurt. We prepare to make amends to them and to find ways to heal our relationships.
This could be one of the worst ones.
Listen,
I'm
if they had
sorry.
left off that last sentence,
Yep.
it may not have been too bad.
Yep. It could have been perfect.
So you're telling me that I need to heal my relationships with my abusers? I don't think so. I don't think Alcoholics Anonymous is telling me that.
Nope. Heal our relationships. It's not what it's about. This is that psychobabble, that mental health psychology twist coming in, even with the terms like negative traits and
Well, and
there was
quite
another.
frankly, does that mean that I'm not sober because, like, while I was getting sober, my relationships with certain family members were good. They were better. And staying sober, I just don't think that some people thought I was going to stay sober or continue participating in AA. And so, I mean, in some scenarios, like my relationships have gotten worse.
Yes.
Now, I still
Yeah.
show up. I still send a Christmas card. I still call. I still do all of these different things. But like, I mean, I think if you ask those people, like, is your relationship with Suzanne healed? They would say, no.
No.
She's not any fun. She doesn't drink. She doesn't stay up. She doesn't stay at the party house with us. She doesn't do all of these things, right?
Yep.
She's a loser.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting how they threw that in there. Heal our relationships. Yeah, I mean, there's some people that I harmed that they don't want to. I mean, I had a conversation with them and made a direct amends, but they don't want to have anything to do with me.
So should you continue to call and text and show up at their house to heal the relationship and let them know that you can't stay sober unless you do that?
Yeah, absolutely not. But that's kind of what this implies. Yep. This has got to go. They need to rewrite this one for sure.
Take that last line out,
Yep. Yep.
okay? And then it could say, after that, we write down a list of everyone we have hurt. We prepare to make amends to them.
Period. That wouldn't be bad.
Now, that doesn't seem that different than the actual
It's
eighth
not.
step.
No. The funny thing about this one is, I mean, of all the steps, the 8th step, the way it's originally written, is probably the most simple. I mean, it's made a list of people you harmed, became willing to make amends to them.
Well, and like amends, in my opinion, would be if you're going to change any word, what is an amends? I think that's fine to understand. I get it.
Yeah.
But like you literally didn't change anything, and then you told us that we were trying to find ways to heal our
It's-
relationships.
Yeah. It's weird. Yep. Scrap.
Scrap.
All right. Step 9. made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others.
To complete step 9, we reach out to the people we have hurt and ask to talk to them. In our conversations, we explain what we feel we have done wrong and discuss what we could do to make things right. If doing this would hurt them or someone else even more, we do not reach out.
Oh my goodness. Well, so the first thing is it starts off by to complete step 9. So I know some people that have never completed step 9 because they just can't, that they can't find the people, or the people won't meet with them. So I don't know if that's a good way to.
Should probably say to begin.
Yeah, that'd be
9,
a better.
but okay.
Be better. And then I love this. We explain what we feel we have done wrong. What we feel we have done wrong? What?
Peace and love.
Don't we get to the exact nature of what we did wrong and talk about that instead of what we feel we've done wrong?
Well, they need to go back to step 5 and say we take responsibility for everything we feel we have done wrong.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, tie them together like that. We reach out to the people we have hurt and ask to talk to them. In our conversations, we explain what we feel we have done wrong and discuss what we could do to make things right. Yeah, it's a turd.
Is it a discussion? Like, is this a debate? Do I get to say, this is what I feel I've done wrong. What do you feel I've done wrong? Well, let's discuss. Oh, you want me to pay you back the money? Well, I feel like I should pay you back half. I mean, like,
that's what it implies. Yeah, it kind of implies that. And, some of them might go that way, but that's not the intent, nor, right. And then a lot of times there's no conversation. It's just, pay me my money, or, hey, thanks for coming, but no thanks, get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we feel we've done wrong. So now we got negative traits. We're going to heal our relationships. We're going to talk to people about how we feel we've done wrong. Okay, well.
We're healing and feeling.
Healing and feeling. I like that. There you go. That's some new shrapnel.
That's 8 and 9. Start. Healing and feeling.
Healing and feeling. It's exactly what it is. Write that down, Shane. We have to use that again. 9's out of here. Scrapping it.
It's out.
Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
On a regular basis, we continue to think long and hard about our actions and mistakes and be very honest with ourselves. Whenever we are wrong, we make amends as soon as we realize it.
Long and hard again.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh. Don't they know that most alcoholics are undisciplined and immature? We just can't think long and hard about anything.
Well, if you think about it, especially, how many people, when they first get sober, their mind spins and they say they can't sit still and all that. So, but now we got to think long and hard on several of these steps. On a regular basis.
What does that mean? Once a week?
Shouldn't it say daily?
This just says continued. Okay, so continued is explained as on a regular basis.
Okay. Long and hard about our actions and mistakes, and be very honest with ourselves.
Sure, but
I'm speechless.
But if I were capable to think long and hard and be honest with myself,
always be honest, yeah,
and get rid of my negative traits, I would not need Alcoholics Anonymous. I would not need God.
There you go. That's
so
right. Yeah. Well, yeah, this one's I don't know. So now I guess personal inventory is thinking long and hard about your actions and mistakes.
And being very honest with yourself.
Yeah, you know what else is funny? If I think long and hard, I'm going to talk myself out of it. Like,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
eventually I'm going to think long and hard and get honest with
and
myself
start
about how it wasn't that bad.
just
And
start
that
justifying.
person, yeah.
Yep, that's right. Well, on a regular basis, we continue to think long and hard about our actions and mistakes and be very honest with ourselves. I love it.
Scrap.
It's out of here. Step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out.
In this step, we try to improve our connection to our higher power. We use practices like prayer and meditation to do so. While we do this, we ask for guidance and the strength to do what our higher power would want us to do.
Oh my goodness. Wow. We use practices like prayer and meditation. So now that's an option?
Sounds like.
So it's actually not the step now. I mean, it's giving you the option.
Sure.
Whereas before, 11 was prayer and meditation, right?
Yeah.
We use practices like prayer and meditation to do so. While we do this, we ask for guidance and the strength to do what our higher power would want us to do. Well,
I do kind of also think like
this.
God, as we understood Him, being our higher power. I don't know. For some reason, the plain language explanation makes it sound to me like our higher power, like what we have agreed upon to be our higher power. And maybe God, as we understood Him, conveys the same kind of message, but
It kind of does, but isn't there another statement in the book where it says, God, you can, oh yeah, we don't need to jump, but on page 56,
yeah.
it says, define God on your own terms in the PLBB. That kind of gets at what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one wouldn't have been completely bad if it didn't give you the option of using practices where it says, we use practices like prayer and meditation. Well, no, we pray and meditate.
Yeah. We use prayer and meditation to do so.
Yes. Yeah.
And like prayer,
Well,
anyway, prayer and meditation can look different for the individual.
that's right. That's right.
And so the explanation may have been better served to say that.
Correct.
But like, it doesn't have to be Buddhist, sitting with your legs crossed, oming meditation. Anyway, scrap. It's terrible.
It's out of here. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Taking these steps leads us to a spiritual awakening that changes us. We use what we have learned to help other alcoholics. We also continue to use the principles of the 12 steps in all areas of our lives.
This is, you know what would have been better?
What?
Was to not have translated and just put the original version in the explanation. It doesn't need to be explained.
No.
I mean, why rewrite it? It's not bad. The way the explanation,
It's not.
it's not bad.
But what are the principles of the 12 steps? I mean, now I've seen a chart and I hear people share about each principle behind each step, and one is honesty and two is something else and three is, but like where does it say that in the book Alcoholics Anonymous?
The steps are the principles.
Well, this
It
says
says
we
in,
use the principles of the 12 steps.
yeah, there are no principles of the 12 steps. That's a good point. Yeah, in the OG book, this the principles are the steps as written. People have a hard time understanding that. The principles behind the steps is just something somebody made up.
Well, now I've seen charts and I've heard people give some pretty powerful shares about each principle behind each step.
I know, I have too. Yeah, yeah. I may have wrote a few of those charts back in the day,
You
but
probably
not
wrote the original.
not anymore.
So this one is like, not the worst, but it just does not seem like, I mean, it
No,
seems pretty plain as it was written.
yeah, yeah. It's
I mean, spiritual awakening, I didn't know what that was, but they have that in the explanation. It's not
yeah.
like there's a descriptor of that.
That's the funny thing about it is, if you really believe in plain language, then why did you not explain spiritual awakening? Hey, we've got very well educated people in ADA that don't know what that means.
Mm-mm. I mean, seriously, I hear people share all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know why I feel this way. I mean, because you have no connection. I guess maybe this was written for, I probably shouldn't say, maybe this is written for people who are overly educated, who have all kinds of letters behind their name, who like are way above where the original Big Book was written because it's spiritual in nature. So maybe it was written
You,
so that those people
you,
can come down to a normal level and understand.
oh, you know what's funny about that is they're the ones now that are studying it. It's not the people that it was written for. It's folks
Well,
that,
well, we're studying. It was written for us.
well, agreed. Yeah, good point. I think that, yeah, it's got to go. It's out of here.
It's out
Step
of
to work.
here. Well, guys, unfortunately, we kept zero of the plain language explanations. But we are healing and feeling in steps eight
We're
and nine,
we're,
baby.
we're
Woo!
healing and feeling, and our higher power is going to help us with our negative traits.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're going to think long and hard
We're gonna
all
think long
day
and hard. We're
long.
gonna be very honest with
Yeah,
ourselves.
with ourselves while we think long and hard. Yeah,
And hopefully we're gonna have some understanding in the first step. That's
yeah,
gonna make it possible for us to continue with the other steps.
yeah, yeah,
So according to the plain language explanation, if you don't have an understanding of these things first, it's not possible to continue with the other steps. Sorry.
yeah. So I think we, yeah. So with all the previous discussion within Alcoholics Anonymous, and even all the previous, I guess, past advisory actions that say that we're not going to rewrite the steps and that we shouldn't even rewrite the founders' writings, does this explanation violate that? And
Well, I'm not sure, but what I am sure of is that this plain language big book, a tool for reading Alcoholics Anonymous, this is a General Service Conference approved literature, was rushed.
yeah,
And
that's
you can't say that it wasn't. And if we have had the book Alcoholics Anonymous for as long as we have now, you know, you I would think personally that you would want to take your time and be very careful and be very considerate about if you are going to have a tool for the book Alcoholics Anonymous, how that's represented, and you would want the fellowship involved, and you wouldn't it just seems like it was the perfect mix of everything going online, people using their feelings and their
yeah,
fears and let's help, and I know that
societal
there
influence.
yes, I know that there are people that cannot read as well as I can that wanted this. I know there are people that are incarcerated that wanted this, and I would be very interested to see, what those people think now.
Hmm.
I'd be very interested to hear because you and I have heard from many people and forums that we're a part of, and just speaking with people in our home group and otherwise, you know, we just hand them the book and say, read something. And sometimes it'll be something that I don't think is very egregious. I'm like, yeah, who cares? That's fine. And someone else will be like, this part is so horrible. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you never, some of the folks that I think that were really behind it are never going to think that it wasn't a good idea. I do know that some people that voted for it now wish they hadn't have.
Yeah.
So I think they probably didn't need the tables in the back explaining the steps. There's even, we'll probably cover these later. There's even explanations for the traditions and the concepts. I don't know why a fifth grader would need explanations of traditions and concepts, because I would think that's like way above them. But anyway, the steps as written are perfect.
Yes.
You don't need an explanation or translation. But Shank, since we got just a few minutes here, so one of the terms in the explanation that they use a lot is higher power. So let's do a little meeting shrapnel.
Okay.
Or no, we'll call it cliche carnage. So I just went to the glossary in the Plain Language Big Book, and the term God as we understood or understand God is in here, and the term higher power. So, higher power, a force or power that is stronger than you are, something that influences events in the universe. Wow! What?
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, okay. So what's interesting to that's so stupid. But God as we understood/understand God is defined as your own ideas and feelings about a higher power, a version of faith that feels true and powerful to you.
Oh my God.
So, if we insert the definition for higher power into the definition of God as we understood/understand God, we have your own ideas and feelings about a higher power, which is a force or power that is stronger than you are, something that influences events in the universe, a version of faith that feels true and powerful to you.
Wow.
So, God as we understand God as your own ideas and feelings about something that influences events in the universe.
Yeah. I guess Elon Musk could be your higher power.
I mean,
He's influencing stuff in the universe.
well, then we know someone who wouldn't be able to be sober.
Oh, I'm digressing, but that's weird. Something that influences events in the universe.
And what about all the people who the doorknob is their higher power?
Well, according to this, you can't have a doorknob now because a doorknob doesn't influence events in the universe. Does it?
Well, I don't think so.
Maybe it does and we don't know it. Maybe that's that fifth dimension.
Oh. I mean, why do they have to influence events in the universe? What about just like the world?
Right.
Didn't it say in the world somewhere?
Yeah, or just in the U.S.
What about just North Carolina?
Maybe just Raleigh. Oh my goodness. So the glossary is something else that they probably should have left out of the book. I mean,
Well,
it's just,
And like a higher power, okay, a force or power that is stronger than you are. Well, you're stronger than I am.
yep. Well, I'm your higher power now.
You can influence events in my universe.
Right? Yeah, it's weird. So, your own ideas and feelings about a higher power. Higher power, a force of power that is stronger than you are. Something that influences events in the universe. I wonder where they got that definition from. See,
OpenAI.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the glossary is it implies that AA actually has an opinion on these, like, terms, and we don't. But now we've stated this is what we believe. And they even plastered it on the cover. This is General Service Conference approved literature. So does AA actually believe that's the definition of a higher power? I thought you could define it on your own terms.
Well, it's your own ideas and feelings.
Well, that's right.
A version of faith that feels true and powerful to you.
What does that mean? A version of faith.
I don't even like that, like, current day, a version of faith that feels true and powerful to you. Like,
No.
I don't like that today. I don't know that I would have liked or disliked it getting sober, but like, I cannot go based on the way I, quote, feel.
Correct.
Maybe some people are able to, but like for me personally, that's the reason I drank was to change the way that I felt. The effect produced by alcohol is what I was seeking. So why am I now going to go based on the way I feel?
It's weird.
It's weird. Both of those are freaking out of here. You don't even get a choice, because today I'm more powerful than you, and I'm influencing events in your universe, and we're scrapping both of these.
You're scrapping both of them? All right. Hey, I can't do anything. Shanks the mini shrapnel master. It's her
I'm the
name.
HP today.
The higher power. They're both out of here.
It's just awful.
Yep.
It just opens up to more confusion, I think,
It does.
personally.
It definitely does. And the thing about it is, I just can't think of, I mean, over the last, the time I've been in the program and have helped people. I mean, I look back on everybody that I've helped, and even just recently, there's no scenario where this book would have been better than the original book. None. And I've helped people that were kind of illiterate. I've helped people that couldn't read good. I've helped people in prisons, jails, and what they call remote communities. And there's just no scenario where this book is better or it would have helped anybody differently. And the other thing about it is there's no stories in it. So anyway, I stick with the original 12 steps.
The explanations are out. You heard it here first.
Yep. Hey, we appreciate you all. Listen, we will have a season 8 recap next week, and we're going to continue some discussion on the Plain Language Big Book, and we may put it to rest after that. And then we're just going to go back to talking about the original steps and how they can help people. In the meantime, take the steps out of the Big Book and be free.
Freedom.
Thanks for listening. If you have a comment, suggestion, or just need help, you can email Shank and Wayne at freedom@alcoholicsalive.com. Remember, we're recovered members of Alcoholics Anonymous, but we do not speak for Alcoholics Anonymous, nor do we get paid. Join us next week for another great episode.